Yep, that's bubble wrap. Right now, we're going to talk about 5 reasons why I think you need to hire a home inspector when buying a home. Reason number 1, you got to know what you're buying. Things are done to homes, things are done over the time that you have no clue what's going on with that house. And you need to know what you're buying. Do you work on your own cars? Do you always prepare your own meals? Sometimes you hire an expert to do those things. This is one of those times. Okay, question. What do you think is the number 1 reason why you need a home inspection? Post in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. Reason number 2. You want to be able to negotiate the price of the home and any repairs that are needed on the home. Think about this. You don't know if a roof needs to be replaced. You don't know if there's been a water leak or mold or any other kind of big repair that you could face when buying a new home. A professional comes in, gives you that information, and guess what? The price that they have is now maybe more negotiable than it was before. Also, you may be able to have the repairs fixed prior to buying the home versus having to negotiate price. It's a win-win for both of you, and it saves time in the long run. Reason number 3, a third-party assessment. Think of it as a non-emotional party. They are not going to be as emotional as you are about buying the home. And let's face it, you've all gone into a home and said, I can deal with that, or maybe it's not as big of a deal. It is a big deal. If you can go back to point number 2, if you can get repairs and or prices negotiated because of that third party's willingness to go, no, this is a big deal, you can save money in the long run. And you can save a whole lot of heartache. Trust me from somebody who knows. A couple of years ago, my wife and I were looking at a home. It was the biggest purchase we'd ever made in a home. We absolutely wanted this home. We knew going in there was a little bit of termite damage. No big deal, we got money in the bank. We knew going in that it was a dated home. No big deal, we got this. Back then was well before I had ever become a home inspector, or a building inspector. So I hired a third-party inspector, thank goodness. He actually asked me while we were doing the inspection, are you getting this home at a really good deal? And I was like, man, it's at the top of my budget. He said, you need to walk away now. You're looking at least $60,000 in repairs. I was absolutely floored, and my wife was absolutely crushed. But you know what? We backed out, got our earnest money back, and now we live in our house, which we call Collin Manor, and it's been the best thing we've ever done. Yeah, we still got a couple of repairs we got to make here and there, but it wasn't $60,000 worth of repairs. The biggest point of this story is, instead of spending $60,000 on those repairs, my wife and I last year were able to put a pool in. Something we wouldn't have been able to do if we were in that other house. Reason number 4, safety, safety, safety. I don't care what people say. I don't care what they say. Oh, this house was built in the 50s. This grandfathered in. There is no grandfather on safety. If the house is unsafe, it's unsafe. Take it from somebody who's a building inspector for a local government. You cannot put your family in safety issues because the house was built in 1950. I don't care. Now, with that being said, just because there's safety issues doesn't mean they can't be fixed. A dilapidated guardrail or a non-existent guardrail, missing or non-functional smoke detectors, things like that can be fixed. Structural issues, they may be a little bit more intimidating, but they can possibly be fixed. So, while I'm saying safety, 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 don't think just because there's a safety issue on the inspection that you've got to back out of the home. It still may be repairable, but that's where you've got to weigh in. Remember, your home inspector is a non-emotional, unbiased party who is there to tell you what he or she sees wrong with the home or sees as a defect. You've got to take that information and use it how you see fit, so remember that. And reason number 5 that you should get home inspections, yeah, just like I showed you a minute ago, that's bubble wrap. Okay, so I'm a building inspector for local government. That was actually in an inspection that I did during a rough inspection. So, you want somebody that goes in there and says, wait a minute, this is not right. You can't do this. This is not how this is supposed to go. while yes, there's many craftsmen out there who are not doing these things, there are some guys that are absolutely doing this. So remember, when you're doing a new home construction, you do have the opportunity to ask for several different inspections along the way. And yes, you have to pay for them, but you're able to do rough inspections, mechanical inspections, plumbing inspections, final inspections. You don't have to just do the final inspection where he goes and looks at all the pretty paint and everything. That inspector can do it along the ways. So remember, you are in control of this when you're buying a home. And please talk with your realtor, talk with your home inspector, get some good references. Don't just get the first home inspector that comes along. Look at their references and their credentials and see what you need, what you can get for your money. These things aren't getting any cheaper, folks, because the houses aren't getting any easier to inspect. So remember, you have 5 reasons why you need to hire a home inspector. Okay, so question of the day. What's the craziest thing you've seen when buying a home or doing a home inspection? Post it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your response. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button, the bell for the notifications, and give me a big old like. I sure would appreciate it. Thanks, and have a great day.